All right, TC Spiritual Shepherd, welcome y'all. Today we're going to be getting into darkroom. This is a very special topic. I wrote a book specifically on this topic. You guys can actually find that book below if you like. I'm going to give you some, introductions and a multitude of different things that can help you in your spiritual path, on your path that is specifically for you, that is just specifically for you. You have like this personal relationship or this like secret type of relationship that you have with the Most High, the Lord. And so this is ultimately, Christ. And so what I'm saying is the development of going into a dark room, of fasting, of cultivating, water fast, juice fasting, dry fasting, breath work, sitting still, sitting in the sun, being in the light all of the time, and then also doing darkroom practices as well, and being the light within the darkness and experiencing light within the darkness in your pineal gland. When you start to discover this in darkroom and caves and blindfolding, all this has everything to do with developing more light and holding more light within you and developing yourself and realizing yourself and actualizing yourself. So peace and love. If you guys are here, you guys are chosen ones. You guys are amazing. You guys are legit amazing. Sending y'all some love. Sending y'all some love. Darkroom, check out the book below, as well as Kabbalah. We do get into a multitude of different things, but I'm going to get into just a few topics. I'm not going to talk about the chemistry necessarily, because I already have videos on the chemistry of that, of darkroom specifically, but I am going to get into like the types of practices that I'm doing. That's what we're going to get into. And this is an introduction to welcome you guys, that like, what are some of the things that you start off with while you're in the dark, when you're bored, when you have nothing to do, when you don't experience light and all these other different types of things. What do you do? So first and foremost, you do breath work. Okay. So 3 different types of breath work I cultivate on a day-by-day basis, which is alternate nostril breathing, alternate nose breathing. All right. Alternate nose breathing. Okay. Breath of fire, BOF, breath of fire. And then you guys know the last one. You guys can guess the last one. Wim Hof method, which is regular breathing, which is ultimately like 4-7-8 breathing. Okay. There is 1 or 2 other ones that I also like as well, such as the rebirthing technique. So rebirthing technique is literally what it means, because you are starting to associate with a new emotional self, which means that you are rebirthing a new version of you within yourself through hyperventilation and releasing those emotions that you might have not even thought that you had stored, or you might know that you have them stored, and you are purposely on this path to release a lot of different things, to experience a newness of life, literally a newness of life. You can accomplish that with 4-7-8 breathing, 5-7-8 breathing, because one big thing on this is like, you want to have a long inhale, but you want to have a longer retention and a longer exhale, because that is what prolongs the life. That is prolongevity. And so when you can go into also acquiring saturation of, this as well, is like, if you have more saturation of oxygen that you're absorbing, your VO2 max is better. What you're doing is you are cultivating based on these beats, 4-7-8, 5-7-8. And so you're strengthening the amount of oxygen that you're getting in those 4 beats if you have a higher VO2 max and can absorb a saturation of oxygen via breath work, via any one of these techniques. Okay, via any one of these techniques. So that's breath work. All right. The next one is sitting still, or meditation, sitting still. All right. Being in stillness. Sitting in stillness. So sitting down in stillness is the main thing. And you can close your eyes or have your eyes open. Both of them have their own experiences. All right. So sitting in stillness. All right. So that is a big one. And that one I would say even governs over breath work, because breath work is self-regulation. Sitting in stillness is self-actualization, self-realization, like you actually are experiencing with yourself. They're slightly different, all right? Now, two, let's get into this. There's also a lot of DMT that is stored within the lungs. The lungs are the breath. So the lungs and the blood, so the lungs and the heart, okay? And then it would be oxygen and the blood. All right. So now you guys are kind of seeing the correlation between this. So whether it's oxygenated or not oxygenated, whether it's aerobic or whether it's anaerobic, is governing the entire system. So DMT and breathwork, when you do a lot of breathwork and you're like, when you do this, and two, as you do more and more reps and more sets, and you get really, really good at it, you actually start to clear a lot of the gook in your body. When you go on fast, you can clear the mucoid plaque. You can clear any type of different thing. You can train your brain to go more into fat utilization, ketone utilization, by being in ketosis, by training in ketosis, very fasted, very limited, and then having a specific type of natural consumption, minimal, because then you'd stay shredded year round, and you could also train all the time. You can work out all the time. Sit in stillness, do your breath work, training. You're cultivating your lungs and your heart, the oxygen in the blood. So the lungs are directly connected to the oxygen, and the heart is directly connected to what? Anaerobic and the blood. Okay, so anaerobic would be oxygen. Without oxygen would be anaerobic, which would be carbon dioxide, which is the lungs are a filter between carbon dioxide and oxygen. And the heart is also a pump for this filter that is pumping blood, which is fluid, which is also the carrier of all different types of nutrients. Okay. So when you eat, and I'm not trying to trigger anybody, but when you guys eat, like for instance, like something fake, like a Pop-Tart or whatever, that insulin spike would shuttle into the blood, and all the sugar that would be in the blood, the insulin would go into the blood and have to shuttle it to cells to give it energy. But when you remove that, you're actually starting to develop a more internal way of creation and stepping into self. So oxygenation of the blood, okay, oxygenation of the blood, and the lungs and heart in synchronization, okay, in synchronicity, in the same exact thing. All right, you're balancing it through what? Self-regulation. So self-regulation is dark room. So when you're self-regulating in a dark room, you're going to be doing a lot of breath work like that with your eyes closed. So and you'll get lightheaded, and that lightheadedness is going to a higher vibration, and heat rises. You'll get hotter. Your body will get hotter. Your vibrations will turn on more. Your thermodynamics will turn on more. You'll burn hotter. You'll have a faster metabolism, especially when you start to build muscle in a fasted state all the time, when you're doing training all the time. So that is developing that. Walking. So, walking with the weighted vest, walking multiple miles, pull-ups with the weighted vest, dips with the weighted vest, lifting heavy, lifting for reps, lifting for sets, lifting for, every type of different thing that I like to even do cross training, and everyone's going to have a multitude of different mindsets of what they think I'm saying, but I'm just saying, do all of it, train all of it, train long distance, train short distance, monitor long distance, monitor everything. I would say I train more on the shorter distant half of everything, and then just be powerful, be strong and whatnot, but then also go longevity as well by developing that over a long period of time, greater than, what most spans would actually be able to do. So, all right, self-regulation, self-regulating the DMT to move it from here into here. And this is that you are starting to see those experiences and experience those experiences in your reality. In a dark room, you allow the melatonin axis, okay, go to the DMT axis. And these are going to be a slightly different experience. And so you'll start to realize yourself and know who you are and know what you're supposed to do, because this DMT is actualizing and realizing, and it's you doing it, you participating in this, you choosing to do this. And this is the development of this. And this is for educational and entertainment purposes only, for real, like serious, like, do this only if you know what you're doing, and do this only, if you're ready for it. All right. And you'll know. All right. So that's the disclaimer. All right. And here's the main thing too, is his darkroom itself specifically, you can do it in 5 days, minimum. You could do it, minimum of 5 days with, intense breath of fire, because breath of fire was what got me there to that high level. And that ultimately got me to such a degree to where I started experiencing other realities within my own brain and within my own frame of mind. I started bursting out of the frame of mind, if that makes any sense. Like, I started tapping into how everything is interconnected between everything else. And so that is realizing that oneness, unison, and stepping into that and choosing it and establishing it, cultivating it on a day-by-day basis. All right. Now, two, I would say study fasting. All right. And that is also a topic, is fasting. And we can go into like even just 16-hour fasting or 14-hour fasting for women is really good, or 16-hour, 18-hour for men, and for intermittent fasting. But then even beyond that, prolonged fasting for, given set period of time, you can separate them in bigger increments throughout the year. So like, you do less of them compared to intermittent fasting. But the development of it is that you want to intermittent fast pretty much every single day, and you train a specific way. You are in ketosis, 2/3 of the year, 3/4 of the year, and not everyone's necessarily used to this. And you train body weight, you train heavy body weight, you train weighted body weight, you do all these different types of things. And that will start to strengthen your frame, and you actually starting to develop yourself a lot better. Not even just a little bit better, but a lot better. Okay, a lot better. All right. So let's keep going. Fasting, specifically, I would say the 24-hour mark is key no matter what, when you're starting a program. So when you're starting a program, I'm just going to kind of erase this, because now you guys already have a method on it. And you want to fast. You want to do breath work while you're fasting, because that feeds you. And that's what the breatharians are telling you guys, is that, the more that you fast and the more you do breath work, the more you're actually going to be the most energized. During those times, you're going to have significantly less types of things. Remember, Plato said, like, fasting, it's immaculate. Like, fasting cures disease. And so too, they even said, don't eat when you're sick, because then you're just fueling. That's Hippocrates. Don't eat when you're sick. You fast when you're sick, because fasting heals the body. Okay. And then two, when you're not sick and you're fasting, it creates prolongevity and health within the body. And that's what they don't want to tell you. They'll tell you the little part about the beginning part. They won't tell you the back end, where it actually creates prolongevity in your life over a grand period of time. Okay. So fasting, specifically 24-hour period. All right. You could do the 12 to 16, or 12 to 14 to 16 to 18. All right. And I'm saying that because those are different increments of intermittent fasting. I would say the benefits only start at 12. So you'd have to do a minimum of 12 or a half day. And you could schedule that too, like the 8 hours that you're sleeping or the 7.5 hours that you're sleeping. You can calculate that by, you wake up and just don't eat breakfast for 4 hours, and you still have a good protein filled, pack type of thing. And then that might carry you till that, not even just tomorrow, but the day after that. And that's what they also don't tell you. They don't tell you about alternate day fasting, alternate day intermittent fasting. So you're fasting for 36 and 48 hours all the time. And that's normal to have a 2-day fast and then have a meal, have a 2-day fast, have a meal. have a 2-day fast, have a meal, have a 4-day fast, have a meal. They don't think that that's normal. These people out here don't think that that's normal. They don't think that that's normal, y'all. So what's normal, we as people who are conscious and connected with the land, and we realize that nature is us and we are nature, and we are stepping into, something greater, something chosen, and something preordained and predestined, something developed within that we can only call the Most High communicating with us. The 24-hour period, the 48-hour period, okay? And then there's a special thing around the 72-hour and 72-plus hour period, and even the 96-hour period. But it's mostly just like you go into full fat burning mode. Okay. You also have an increase in brain-derived neurofactor, BDNF. So you have brain-derived neurofactor, and that actually will prolong your brain. You can think clearer thoughts, have higher thoughts, all these other different types of things. You can increase gray matter. Now we're cooking. We are cooking. You can increase gray matter within the brain and actually have creation of better memory cells, or an overdid or surplus of memory cells, to where you can start to increase your memory, remember old things. Some people even tap into this spiritually, and they can remember old lives, whether people believe in that or not. But I will say this, that I remember that Christ said that John the Baptist was once Elijah. So that's a development, and you can see how you can come up from the dust, self-create from the dust like that when you are interconnected, that you are not separate of God. Okay? Because that's how Adam came up before everything had technically went down, is that he was literally just a copy of him pretty much, and he can literally live as how he wanted to live. Increasing gray matter, brain-derived neurofactor, full fat burning mode, okay, 96-hour period, okay, and then these are very powerful, because when you're fully fat burning, you're developing yourself, and you're doing breath work all of the time. When you're doing the breath work with it, you're increasing your vibration, you're increasing your fat burning, you're turning on your hormones, you're rewriting your hormones, you're rewriting your genome, you're training differently, you're adapting, you're being a better version of yourself, and you say that you only tolerate getting better. And so that's what your body and your mind and your heart and your physicality, your spirituality are saying, like, all right, we're in our up level. We just keep up leveling. And it might take a couple of days, but no matter what, we're buying back our time. We're getting paid. We're developing ourselves. Full fat burning mode. This means that we're using our fat and I want to really tell you how important this is, that people are going to tune this out. But fat burning is the most important, because when we are fat burning, we can use that fuel to the best of our abilities, meaning that we're lean. We have an intense amount of muscle, the best form of hormones, the best form of testosterone, developing yourself, fat burning, and cultivating who you are as a being. All right. So fat burning, and training heavy is going to promote such a good hormonal response that even when you eat, and you're just going to eat certain food, so you're going to be like kung fu with it. You're going to be kung fu with it. Like, you're going to eat cleaner and just eat better, because it's a better decision to make. So full fat burning. And then two with this is that you can train your body to have this be your homeostasis. So fat burning, I want to bring this home, guys. Fat burning is the most important state of being. So you could be a sugar burner or a fat burner. And the most important thing that I would say is to be a fat burner, or to be able to do both, and to where you tap into both, but mostly a fat burner, 99.99% a fat burner, because it'll increase all the things that you choose to really want to develop. All right. All right, what else? Brain-derived neurofactor increase in gray matter by developing with breathwork, by developing with, alternate nostril breathing, Wim Hof method, by doing, a breath of fire, doing these in sequences, doing these back to back, or so alternate nostril breathing, Wim Hof method, breath of fire, or do 3 rounds of this, 1 round of this, 3 rounds of this, 3 rounds of this, 3 rounds of this, 3 rounds of this, whatever it is, whatever you want to do, develop your type of thing, get some beats, get some healthy, good vibe beats, like some reggae instrumentals or reggae music itself, do a cleanse things, all right, and cleanse your space, and absolutely do very well in your space, all right. So the 96-hour period is also cleaning the temple. It's healing the temple, it's developing the temple, and it's starting to require a newness of self. It's starting to require a newness and a new version of who you are, and a more up-leveled version, because you are chipping away at the old stuff. So like autophagy and apoptosis are like really high at this time. So if you're to be in fat burning state all of the time, you'd be more into connection with your hormones, chemically and electrically. And then two, with you training, you're building your electrical stuff. That's why it's skeletal and muscle. So muscle will be like electrical, and they're both connected electrically. So it's connected bone to, and then to ligaments all the way up until muscle tissue, tendons, ligaments, all these other different things that come from bones, or different, connectors or cartilage or things like this that are developed, that you can strengthen the bone itself as well. All right. And the bone marrow itself as well. So this is what I'm saying is the 72-hour period, the 48-hour period, any of these are really, really prime. So, okay, I want to go into like the breatharian aspect with darkroom too. Like I'm still staying on the topic of darkroom and how it's connected. So when you learn fasting, when you are doing a 24-hour fast, 48-hour fast, the 72-hour fast, the 96-hour fast, like I said, you're in full fat burning mode. This is releasing hydrogen. So it's releasing hydrogen, which is an H. All right. And it's actually releasing it is H3. All right. So there's multiple hydrogens all the way. Okay. And so what you want to do is to create water. The best thing that you want to do is breathe in oxygen. So you're breathing in oxygen, which is what we're doing is breath work while we're fasting. The fat releases H3. All right. The breath work releases H2. All right. Right here. So fat, it releases hydrogen. And the O2, it'll create an internal water structure. That's really what it will do. So it's going to create H3O2 within the body, and then it's going to transport that all throughout your cells, all throughout to your mitochondria, your cells, and this will be eternal waters. So this is actually a crystalline water structure. So it's crystallized. There's crystallization in it. So now you want your bioluminescent field, your bioluminescence, your body light essence or essential light body, your essential light body or your bioluminescence. So that's really what it is. It's your essential light body. And you do it backwards because English is a backwards language. So a bioluminescence means essential light body, essential lumen body. Okay. And so this is what we're doing is we are illuminating ourselves. And we're doing this through when we're in a fasted state, we're the best of our abilities. And then oxygen, we are perfecting that and adding very good types of disciplines to it. So you're a disciple. As well as the O2, it's not a broken structure. So H2O, you'll thirst of that water again. Out there, you'll always thirst for something. But in here, you are satiated forever. From this well, you will never thirst again. You're out there looking for things that you already know that you've already confirmed are no longer valid based on who you actually are here in the present now and who you become and developed and who you are cultivating in your essence. So the crystalline water, crystal, Christ alchemy, Okay. Crystal, okay, crystalline, lean. All right, so that is like the development. That is the development of what we're doing. We are crystallizing ourselves. We're crystallizing our bodies. We want to enter into the crystalline versions of ourselves, is what I'm saying, and we do this through ruach, through spirit. Okay, through spirit, through ruach. All right, through developing spirit and breath work. Breath means ruach, the air element. And we are what? Grabbing ether that's in or within the air or oxygen element. That oxygen is also 8 on the periodic table, which is the symbol of infinity. The symbol of infinity, as well as the 8, as well as when you are, it's a cyclical breath, it's a cycle and a recycle, and it's so many different types of powerful things. It's the signature of abundance, so 888. It's the sign, the 888, but it's also a symbol of gold, which is the 8th thing that God said was good is gold. So after the day that he rested, and he so the next day, the next thing that he said God that was good was, the following chapter. Check out Myron Golden. He says the 8th thing that he said was good was gold, which is incorruptible. It's an incorruptible element, similar to that of like ether too. You can even think of the ether as like an incorruptible element. Okay, so this is what I'm saying, y'all. This is exactly what I'm saying. So 12, 14, 16, 18 hour periods. All right, 24-hour period, 48-hour period, 72-hour period, 96-hour period, and beyond. So this is just the initiation period of the 5-day fast. That's what it is. This is just the initiation of the 5-day fast. Now, if you want to do a 10-day fast, you want to do a reverse pyramid and then into a pyramid. So what you want to do is you want to, start to get into, practice intermittent fasting the first 5 days and get all your nutrition, get whatever you need to develop, maybe just start doing juices and stuff. Then you go into this 96-hour period once you've done that for 5 days. And that's a 10-day, that's a 10-day breatharian retreat, I guess you could say. And from there, you can just implement that you don't necessarily need food. You can start to breathe more light, cultivate more light into your auric field, into your bioluminescent fields. And that is the way that you'll feed yourself. And you will be a breatharian 3, meaning that you'll eat from time to time, like every other time, or every other day, or every other day, or every other day, or whatever it is. And so developing that is like, so you'd eat on Monday, then you eat on Friday, then you'd eat on, Tuesday, then you eat on Saturday, then you eat on Wednesday, then you eat on Sunday, and you could do it like that. Or you could do every other day where you're just like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm eating, and then I'll do a 3-day up until Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So you could always do something like that. All right. There's levels, and it's mathing. So like all you have to do is do the right math to be able to elevate yourself and cultivate yourself into that way of living. And you can train yourself to be able to do so. And the way that we do that is through practicing fat burning through fasting. Okay. It's a fast way to burn fat. Fasting. It's also steadfastness. It's remaining steady, fasted. It's remaining steadfast. You're steady in your fasting. You're going steady while fasting. You're going about your day, your steady life, okay, or you're steady or you're sturdy. Your foundation is sturdy, okay, because you're doing this, all right, because you're fasting, because you're developing your breath work. And that's where the changes happen, where you're like, oh, I could see the strength change in even 3 days. And that's what people are looking for, is the instant gratification. Like, you can see a change in 3 days just by doing breath work back to back days, and then you can see a change in your bioluminescent field and your energy throughout the day, throughout the night, etc. That can really develop by doing breath work, darkroom practices, fasting practices, by being steadfast in a darkroom. To conclude this for darkroom, and why this is so beneficial to darkroom, is because while you're doing this and you are fasted in this, you're not necessarily craving food anyways. You're not necessarily craving water anyways. So you actually focus more on the internal, and you're actually your internal selves and cells are starting to work in unison and crystallize. Like you are starting to get that crystalline water, that crystallized water, and you can go and do those dark room practices for 20 days without ever needing food because you've already trained your body to not need food. So that's what I'm saying is there's like levels to it. So there's graduations and growth periods that you're going to go through no matter what anyways, whether it's in trading, whether it's in your physicality, whether it's in your spirituality, whether it's in your emotionality and your relationships. You're going to go through boring periods, but you're also going to go through highly extravagant and exciting periods. And that is going to be why you do all of the boring periods, why you go through the boring schedule, or set up your boundaries or your structure, because you can go through so many different creative things within that structure. And that structure, they'll think that it looks like a cube, but it's really a tesseract and beyond. So peace and love, y'all. Shalom Elohim, TC Spiritual Shepherd. This is getting into the topic of darkroom fasting, the process of what I do. A frequently asked question and a couple of things like this is having a mini fridge with the light off with a couple of different juices in there, having a couple of different water bottles for a multitude of different reasons, filled up or not, as well too as having a place to be able to use the restroom in darkness, but also setting up your dark room cave or a dark room, like an actual specific room properly, meaning that you go to Home Depot or you go to one of these stores or whatever, you get cardboard boxes, you get blackout curtains on Amazon, and you actually staple them together, you put it together, you develop it, all that, and you actually put them on all of your windows. And then when you develop your room, when you shut off the light, it's pitch black in there. There's no cracked light. There's no lights coming through any cracks or anything. And then you also have a blindfold, and you might have one or two blindfolds. That's the type of process of what you're doing. And so then with that happening, you can do your yoga, you can do your practices, you can do your training, you could do your breath work, your sitting in stillness, you could do your weights, because some people will just have like little free weights and they can train for those like 20, 30 days or whatever, or even for the 5 days that they're doing it. Some people just want to do it for 3 to 5 days. And so there's a powerful aspect that comes with it, that when you do this for 3 to 5 days, you can up level yourself way beyond, and I can throttle you forward, and get back all your lost years and throttle you forward beyond and creating momentum and developing momentum in your spiritual life, in your physical life, and your spiritual life specifically. All right. Peace, much love, namaste. Shalom Elohim, TC Spiritual Shepherd. See you guys in the next one. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out my darkroom book below, or the darkroom course, the empowerment course, or any of my breatharian courses will all be below. Peace, much love, namaste. See you guys in the next.